Sky Cable TV Kenya. Beyond the Real.
Hi viewers, this is Susan Muita with True Living Show, which airs via Sky Cable TV every Tuesday. I'm your health advisor. Welcome back. The topic we are continuing on is about medications, and we know that this topic will take a long time because we are going step by step talking about medications, the types of medications. We'll also talk about the medications, the treatment for what condition, for what disease, for what situation, and then how to store the medications, where to get the medications, the types of medications, the means of getting the medications, where to store the medication, on, and many other things as we continue. So right now for this show, I'm starting on talking about medication storage. So how do we store medications? So first of all, there are so many ways of storing medications. So let's start with where we store the medications. First of all, I would say that medications, they are stored in many places. So medication can be stored at home. Medication can be stored in an office. Medication can be stored in a pharmacy. Medication can be stored when somebody is traveling, let's say on your bag, on your way. If you're traveling, the means of transportation depends, because you can pack medications on a car when you're traveling. You can also carry your medication when you're using a train, a bus, an airplane, a ship, whatever you're traveling, whatever you're traveling with, you can take medications. And also medication can be stored in your home and inside your home, because home, we know it has many places. So there are people who store their medication in the kitchen, depending on what type of medication. There are other areas at home where you can store your medication. You can also store your medication in the bathroom. You can also store your medication in the kitchen. You can also store your medication in the bedroom, or whatever area you have selected for medication storage. And we know that we choose different areas where we'll store medication, depending on the spaces you have, depending on the type of medication. If it's liquid, let's say you have a liquid medication, and that liquid medication is because most liquid medications, they are supposed to be stored in a certain kind of a temperature. So let's go back on the types of medication. So we had said, okay, we have medication in form of pills, in form of liquids, in form of topicals, in form of inhalers, in form of drops. So let's say you have medication which you are supposed to store on a cool area or in a fridge, or so that one, then you'll have to store it in the fridge or in the kitchen. Let's say there are other medication, depending on how you're putting it and where. Let's say it's a topical medication where you are supposed to apply to your skin, or it's supposed to go through different ways, like let's say in your rectal, or in your vagina, or in your mouth. So it all depends. So if we have medication which we are applying on the skin, or we have to put on the rectal, or any kind of openings, the best places to store those kind of medication is in the bathroom, or or the room you usually use to take your shower or to go to the bathroom. That's some people in their bathrooms, they have shelves, so they can store them there. But it also depends on how you have packaged it, because we find like in the bathrooms sometimes those areas, either they are humid or they are too cold. So you'll also check on the temperature you are supposed to store that medication. Let's say there are some medications, they are supposed to be on room temperature. So room temperature is between 59 degrees Fahrenheit to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So if that medication, you are told to store it on that kind of temperature, because when you buy a medication or when you get the medication, there are instructions on each kind of medication. So it's always advisable to check on the temperature you are supposed to put or to store that medication on, so that you can know. And then you also have to consider other things. Is that medication supposed to be on a light place or in a dark place? Because most medication, they are not stored on direct light. So most medication are stored in an area where it's not humid, or an area where it's not too hot. So you have to check on the temperature, and you also have to check on humidity of that place. You also have to check on many other things. And before we continue on this topic, don't forget to go down there. Just find that red down there, that red button, and press it, subscribe, so that we can be getting this information. And then you can like, so you can press the like, and you can also comment down there. So as we continue on the storage of medication, so we just said where you can store the medication. So we just said, you can store it, you can store it at home, either in the bedroom, in the shower room, or in the kitchen, or wherever you store your medication. And then there are different types of storage medications. So there are cabinets for medication. So there are people who, they just buy places, just a cabinet just to be storing medications. Some might be locked, some might not be locked, some might be in an upper area, because we find like homes where there are kids or there are pets. So you would either put your medication somewhere on cabinet high, or somewhere you can lock that somebody else cannot get access to that area, especially the kids, if you have kids, or if you have pets, or if they are controlled medications. Because controlled medication, you only get enough medication to treat what you have. Let's say like most controlled medications, they are counted. Even when the doctor prescribes it to you, you have this kind of medication to treat this severe pain. So you cannot afford to just leave that medication anywhere, because if somebody else in that home or wherever you are has that kind of a problem, or has some pain, or somebody is addicted to any medication, because we find like mostly those controlled medication, they make somebody feel high. So if somebody want to feel high, or if somebody is in pain, somebody else can get hold of your medication and take it. It can be anybody. It can even be a family member. It can be somebody who has access to that medication. So you have to know where and how to store that medication. Then there are also medication shelves. So either the medication shelves in your house, or in your wherever room you might decide to store your medications, then specifically, most families, there is a place where they store their medications. Either they have a box, or they have a cabinet, or they have shelves or cupboards where they put their medication. Either they lock it, or some of the medication they lock them, some they don't. So it's on individual basis, but you as an individual, you are the one who knows where you live, how you live. Do you have kids? Do you have pets? Are there other people who can access your medication? So it's individually based. You are the one who will know how you will store medication, because on this show, what we advocate for is, this is a true living show. You are true to yourself, you are true to your family, you are true to either if you have any condition or you don't have, because we have just said even there is over-the-counter medication. So sometimes you might even buy medication, you are not sick, but maybe it's cheap, like a cold medication. Sometimes you can just buy it and store it somewhere. And that way you'll also check on the expiry date, how you're supposed to take this medication, how long am I gonna stay with this medication. So because this is a true living show, so you are your own advocate. You are the one who knows when to buy what medication, where to store what medication, where is it safe for your medication. So we are just talking on guidelines. We are just talking on like an advisory way of storing medications. So, and where can you find medications? So if I come to your place, would I know where you store your medication? Will I be accessible to get that medication? And also, where can I get the medication? We just talked earlier on, and we said medication is either bought from the pharmacy, from chemist or drugstore or supermarket or an ordinary kiosk or a shop or wherever. So it matters on where you are living, where you get your medications from. And also you should also be thinking about the price. So if I go buy this chemist, is it cheaper than if I get it somewhere else? So the accessibility of getting that medication, or do I go and get that medication from my doctor's office or the clinic or the hospital, or am I gonna get the medication from an ordinary pharmacy? So it's you to decide. Let's say if, like, you move to a new place, you have to establish, where will I be getting medications from? Even if you are not sick, it's always good to know where you can get medications from. So, and as we continue, just go down there, press the subscribe button, so that we can talk more about storage of medications. So another thing is how to organize medications. Medication organization is very, very good, because sometimes we might have different types of medication, and organization matters very much, because the reason for good organization of medications, because first of all, we said, where do you store the medication? Is it on a box? Is it on a cabinet? And is it on what temperatures am I supposed to store it on? Is it on a fridge? Is it on a freezer? Is it on a bag? Is it on a cool place? Is it on a dry area? Is it out of humid place? So it also depends on how you organize your medication, because let's say you are living many people or a family in a place and the medication is not well organized, so there could be a problem, because somebody might go take somebody else's medication which might look the same, or you might go to do some medication or take some medication or apply some medication, and then if the medication is not well organized, you might skip taking it. and we find like if you don't take the medication the way the doctor has prescribed it, then it might not give you the good results that you are expecting to get. So you have to be organized, just the way in life we are organized with other things. We go to the farm or we go to the supermarket, buy food, come wash it, store it in the fridge the right way so that when I'm cooking or when I'm eating, I know where to get whatever. The same thing applies to medication. So you have to know where did I store medication, because even if some of the medication you don't use them often, it's always good to organize it and also to date it so that when it's almost expiring, you can remove that medication and throw it or use it before it expires. So that's something else. So the common rule for medication storage, we know that medications, most of them, so you store them away from heat, store them away from air, light and moisture, because some of these medications, if they are stored where there is strong light, some of them, they might not work the way they are supposed to work. And if you store some medication where the moisture is too high, more than what is supposed to be, then we find that some of these medications, because they are made of chemicals, they also react with the water or whatever, and they might not be effective, or they might become poisonous, or they might turn to be something else because they are made of chemicals. Then another thing we have to think about is the guidelines. So there are guidelines on each kind of medications, different types of medication classes, different types of medications. So we have to follow up the guidelines, the way the doctor has prescribed the medication, the way it should be taken. Also, we have to know whether that medication is approved for whatever treatment you are getting that medication to, or if they are allowed to be taken. Let's say like some areas, they say that medication is FDA approved. There are other places they say that government board, pharmacy board has allowed this medication to be used. So you have to follow up the guidelines for any medications. And also, as I have said, know what's the temperature to store medication on. So we said like there are medications which they have to be stored on room temperature. So that is 55 to 77 degrees centigrade. So most liquids can be stored that way, or majority of pills. Then there are other medications, maybe you are told let them be cool when you are taking them. Some or majority of antibiotic liquid medications, you are told take them when they are cool. So what does the cool mean? So that's not the room temperature. Cools mean cool, so it's from 46 degrees Fahrenheit to 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there are others, you are told refrigerate, take medication from the fridge, store it in the fridge. So those ones, they also their temperatures is from 35 degrees Fahrenheit to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there are those medications you are told to freeze. So the frozen medications, they are from minus 13 degrees to 14. And when it's below 13, so those ones, they are like really frozen. And mostly I don't think we have medication like that. So it's always good to know the temperature. So if they are frozen, is starting from minus 13 degrees. So if it goes below that, let's say like negative 12 or whatever, I don't see many medications which are supposed to be taken like that. And you should know that most medications, because some of them, majority of them are preserved with preservatives. So if you go and keep a medication which is supposed to be cool, to be frozen, we find like some of these preservatives of these medications, that medication will not serve the purpose, because some of these preservatives make them ineffective when you are taking them, or when the temperature is increased, the preservatives become something else, and it might not work for your benefit. It might even make that medication, those chemicals, be weaker or stronger. So it's always good to do that. So when you are storing your medications, so make sure that if you are traveling, just pack your medication the way it's supposed to be stored in a good way, because you might travel in a place and then you put the medication in an area maybe near the engine, and it become hot, and then those medications, they might melt or mix with others. So know how you pack your medications. We know nowadays when people are traveling, there are even some containers you can buy from the pharmacy or chemist or supermarket or wherever, and pack your medication well, and also put them in labeled bags. Even like when you're traveling, let's say in a plane, so sometimes the people who check you, they might wonder what is this. So make sure that even your medication, they are in their original containers or labels, so that when you ask what is this, you can know what it is, and it can be read, and it can make it easier for you. Also, if you stay in a humid area, because we know some areas are humid, and also it depends on the season of the year. There are times when the climate is very humid, so know how to pack your medication so that that humidity will not affect the medication you are taking. Be sure that your children cannot just reach your medication anyhowly, because also medication is also taken according to age, and it's also taken according to your height and weight. And it's also, some medications cannot be taken by the kids, and some medications are also for grown-ups and for different categories of issues. So make sure that you might have some medication and they might become poisonous for your children or to anybody else who is not taking it. Make sure you know the categories of medication you are taking. Also know the expiration dates, because if you take medication which has expired, and these medications are made up of chemicals, or even if they are made of plant substance, there is a time the medication is supposed to expire. So know the expiration date, and know the condition of the medication. When you picked it up from the pharmacy, how was it looking like? What shape was it? If you see different changes, let's say like color, shape, smell, just be cautious on that, because once it's not the form you bought it, it's not the smell you bought it, it doesn't look like what you bought from the beginning, then that medication either has expired, or maybe there is some water on it, or it's a mixture of something, and then you're not supposed to take it. So be careful on that. Check on that. And I know next time we'll talk more about medication, because we'll also have to talk of different types of medications which are taken for different kind of conditions. We'll also talk of how to get medications. We'll also talk about side effects of medication one day. We'll also talk about medication indications. We'll also talk about medications clarity and all that. So for now, this is Susan Muita with True Living Show, which airs every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern African time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget to subscribe, and hoping to see you next Tuesday. And thank you so much, and goodbye.